everybody, JC here with another TNI toy review. And today's review is in association with Tformers.com, your #1 news source for everything Transformers. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers masterpiece MP-29 Destron Laserwave, or as we know him better as Shockwave from Takara Tomy. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style packaging we see with most of the masterpieces. You've got the logo up at the very top, then you've got an image of the toy in both robot and vehicle mode, and then down below you have the name, and he's listed as the Destron Military Operations Commander. On the side of the packaging, we just have the title of the Transformers Masterpiece title in that metallic silver. And then on the back of the packaging, we have images of the figure in various forms, showing off the various accessories, and then a bunch of writing I really can't read. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at Shockwave outside of the packaging. Now this one comes in as gun mode when you first take him out of the box, and he comes with a number of different accessories. So first of all, he comes with that standardized file card like we see with all the MPs. So on the front, you've got some artwork of the character in both robot and gun modes. And then on the back, you have a look at the toy with some writing I can't really read and some statistical numbers. Now besides that, he also comes with the standard instruction sheet that shows you how to transform him. Now again, it's in writing that I can't really read, but it does give you the pictures so you can figure out how to transform him. And then finally, and this is a little unique, but this one does come with a decal sheet of Decepticon symbols, and they give you various ones. So basically, if you want to be true to like the cartoon, you'll end up using 4 of these, but they give you different designs. I guess if you watch the cartoon, it kind of the Decepticon symbols can kind of change a little bit depending on who's animating it. So you've got the standard Decepticon symbols in the 3 in the larger size and 2 in the smaller, but then you've got these more kind of unique looking Decepticon signs as well. So I probably will go with the more traditional ones, but you can mix and match however you want. Okay, and you can see I've applied one of the Decepticon symbols. In his gun mode, you have one on this side and then one on that side, at least based on the images on the box, which I believe was cartoon accurate. So he also comes with a number of different pairs of interchangeable hands. Now I'm not going to focus on these until we get him into his robot mode, since he doesn't use these in his laser gun mode. We also get a miniature version of Shockwave in his laser gun mode, which is pretty cool. So basically other MPs, you can pretend he's transformed and the other MPs can hold him. Technically he can hold himself. I do actually think there was a cartoon episode where he was for some reason holding a smaller version of himself. I don't remember the episode, but I've seen images of it. But again, this is probably more for giving him, putting it in the hands of other MPs like your Starscream or Soundwave or what have you. And he's got the little clips on the handle like we typically see with MP weapons that will fit in the little slits on all the MP figures. And the detailing on this is really nice. Color scheme, he's got the gray barrel, he's got some other gray highlights, he's got the little scope on the back, and he's even got the wire, which is made with a rope type material. Just in case if you're wondering if you could use this miniature Shockwave with your Combiner Wars Bruticus like we saw in the cartoon, it doesn't really work that well because there's no way to really get it in his hand tightly, unfortunately. There's this little square hole back here, but it doesn't quite fit. So like I said, there's really no way to get it in his hand tight. We also get a wire that you can attach to the toy in both robot and laser gun mode. Now this is made to replicate that old black wire that was on the G1 toy. It's not actually a wire or rubber material like that old one. It is made with a spring. It's actually metal. It's a spring, and there's a little wire inside, which you can, if you pull it apart, you can kind of see. So it definitely seems like it's going to keep its shape better and stay in better shape than that old black wire on the G1 toy. I know a lot of people have had theirs kind of fall apart or break or what have you. And what you do is there's a hole on the top here, and you just plug it in, one end in, and then there's a hole here on the side. and it'll stay in nice and tight, and it should keep its shape, you know, very similar to that old black wire. So the final accessory we get is a stand. So when you have him in his gun mode, if you want to display him on your shelf, they've given you this little stand, and also this will double as his backpack in his robot mode. So what you do is you'll just end up folding in this clear plastic piece for his backpack. But when you want to display it, you just fold it out, and then what you do is you just set it, this piece right here, you just set it in these little grooves here, and it'll hold it nice and tight. So a nice way of displaying Shockwave in his gun mode, which is pretty cool. Technically, this is not really listed as a feature, but if you wanted to take this little stand and display it or put it on the toy, attach it on the toy when he's in his laser mode, you can. There's actually these little grooves, and and these little pegs on the top here, and so you can actually just attach it. So if you like wanted to carry him around in gun mode and wanted to keep the stand with it, you can do that. So for the toy itself, I think they've done a nice job of capturing the look and feel of the old G1 toy. Now, I don't have my old one anymore. I lost it a long time ago. I remember buying it for the first time at a Service Merchandise. I don't know if you ever had Service Merchandise. I don't think they're around anymore. But definitely, it seems to be very true to that original toy. And I will say that the color of purple used seems to be a much lighter color than what we saw with the original toy, and even what we see in the cartoon and comic books. But other than that, I think it's very true. Same with the gray plastic. It's a much lighter plastic than what the old toy was. You've got the gray here on the handle and the gray here on the barrel, which is not, you don't just pull it off like on the G1 toy. It does have the scope, so just like the original G1 toy, which is done with a translucent type plastic. Now you can do it two ways. You can do it like this, or you can actually flip it up like that if you want to. And then you can pop it down so it's not up at all if you want. Now, one thing I don't like is I don't like this hole in the back. It seems a little weird. And then I don't like the way the feet are. I think it would have been cooler if they had made the feet so they flipped around so that the front of the feet kind of filled up this hole. Maybe, I guess it's just not really feasible with the transformation, and it doesn't bother me too much. You can still grip it pretty good, but I don't really like how the feet kind of stick out the back like that, and then again you have this kind of hole. The trigger is right here, and it is a working trigger, and it does have the lighted effect like the old G1 toy, and you can see it's a pretty bright purple light just like with the original G1 toy. Now this thing actually requires two different sets of batteries. So for the gun light, the battery top is right here, and you have to unscrew it, and it takes two AAA batteries here, and then there's a separate battery needed for the when he's in robot mode, when you want to have his hand light up. So you have to open this up, and this takes a set of watch batteries. Now you actually get two different kinds of modes with the gun light. So just the normal mode, when you pull the trigger, it lights up, and if you hold the trigger, it stays lit. But then there's this little switch here on the side, and so if you flip it down, then it gives you a flashing mode. So I'm not pushing the trigger now, it's just flashing, and it'll do this for a couple seconds. So I don't think the original toy had that feature, but this one does. Now there's no sound effects with this one, it's just the light, which doesn't bother me. In fact, I don't even really remember the original toy having sound effects. Shockwave has a nice weight to it. It's not too heavy, but it's not too light either. As far as the dimensions go, he measures just about 12 inches in length, and height is about just under 4.5 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through the transformation from his gun mode to his robot mode. Now, it's your choice. You can leave this wire in if you want, or you can take it out and put it back on once you have him in his robot mode. I'm going to take it off for this demonstration. Then you want to take the stand and just set it aside. We'll get back to that in a moment. So first thing you want to do is you want to take the scope piece, and if you have it popped up, you want to go on and flatten it down, and then lift up the whole piece so it just kind of comes forward. Then you want to take these barrel pieces and just pull them out like this, and then you can take them and just kind of pull them up forward and lay them flat to the front of the barrel like that. Then next, you can pull out the arm pieces so that they're just kind of outward. And then you want to take this piece and just kind of pull it all the way back for now. Now you can take this barrel piece and just kind of fold it up against this upper part of the gun, or when he's in robot mode, this will actually be his upper back. Now you can see the head is sticking out there, so if you can take your fingers and just kind of pull it out. So now at this point, you want to go to the back here, and you can see these little tabs, and you want to just kind of pull them down so it releases these back pieces. Now you can take these and you can kind of pull them out like this, and then just turn them so that the hollow parts are facing towards the back of the robot. Now you can flip him around and you can see that a good part of the robot has been formed, and yes, he is happy to see you. Now go ahead and grab the gun handle and pull it apart, and you can see on the inside there are these little pieces that you want to pull out, and you want to do it on both sides. And you can see that it basically makes the front part of the leg, and you want to make sure that you clip in this little tab into this hole here so it fits nice and snug. Again, do it on both sides. Now you can go in and take the feet here at the bottom and just kind of flip them around. Now at this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to form the leg. So you go on and turn these, and so you see there's a little hole or groove here on the inside here, and there's a little peg on this side. So what you want to do is basically match those up so that the inner leg goes into the outer leg, and it should just click into place. And then you can turn the leg, and then you want to do it on the other side as well. So again, make sure you take the peg and you get it matched up, and you turn it so that the inner leg slides there into the outer leg. And then just make sure you flip them around so that the feet are facing forward. So now once you have everything clicked into place on the lower legs, then you just take these side panels here at the waist and you go on and pop them down. And then you want to cover up, this is the trigger, and you want to just take your fingernail and just kind of pull down this piece, and it'll cover up the trigger. So just pull it all the way down. You got to kind of have fingernails to do that, but it covers up that trigger nicely, so you've got the full chest formed. So the final thing is attaching his backpack, and this is actually optional. You don't have to put on this backpack if you don't want to, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that the clear plastic piece is kind of out like this. And then what you want to do is kind of slide this plastic piece up behind the barrel, the gray part, so it kind of slides in. So this groove kind of slides in here. And it should fit in tight. And then you just kind of fold it over and close it, and then it should just snap into place. Now I pushed his head down, so if you do that, then you gotta have to use your fingernails to kind of pull the head back up. Head doesn't, if you push on the head at all, it has a tendency to kind of sink down, which is a little bit of a pain. But you know, once you have the head up, as long as you're not pushing on it at all, then it'll stay up nice. So that's it. That's your transformation. Now you'll want to take the wire, if you took it off when you were transforming him, and attach it back. And again, you just plug it into the hole on his arm and on his back here. Now you can display it one of two ways. So you can see, actually turn his arm here the right way. So this is more cartoon accurate with the Decepticon symbols on his arms. Now I remember that I seem to recall that the toy actually had a Decepticon symbol on his chest, so if you've got an extra one of these size decals, you can put it on there if you want, but like the pictures don't show that on the toy or anything. But I do think, if I remember correctly, the original G1 toy did have a Decepticon symbol on his chest up here. Not in the cartoon, but on the toy. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, as far as how you want to display it, so you can display it so the wire is back here, kind of out of the way, or if you want it more accurate to like the toy, which actually came around, you can turn the arm and have it displayed like that. So it's whichever preference you prefer. Okay, so now that we have him in his robot mode, I've gone on and brought out all those different pairs of hands that he comes with so I can show you those. So when you first transform him, when you take him out of the packaging and you first transform him, he has attached solid plastic gun hand and then just a regular hand. Now the regular hand has articulated fingers. They have the little slits in them, so if you want to put like that little Shockwave gun in there, you can. The thumb is not articulated, just the fingers, and they're all one piece there. And then you've got the gun hand as well. So this is pretty much cartoon accurate, I believe, with the solid plastic. Now there was one time or once or twice in the cartoon where he actually had two hands and he didn't have the gun hand. So basically, if you want to switch out hands, all you do is you just pull them off. They just kind of slide on, and you can put on whatever hands that you want. So you've got a left hand, so you can give him two regular hands, which are solid plastic. Assuming I can get it on there. Actually, you got to make sure you turn it right. So I got it turned. So that gives him the... There goes his head popping down. So that gives you the two solid hands. So like I said, there was one or two episodes where I actually didn't have the gun hand. He had two regular hands, which I think was just an animation error, but you know, they've kind of turned that into an actual accessory. So that's kind of cool. And then you get a saluting hand for the right hand. So there was one episode where he's like saluting, I think, Megatron. And so you can, again, take that and have him salute. Now, unfortunately, because of the articulation, he doesn't have a double jointed elbow, so you can't get him truly in a fully saluting pose. That's about as close as you can get. So, but still, they've given you that hand for that option. Now, you get the same hands in translucent plastic as well. So this is more in keeping with the original toy that had the translucent plastic hands, and this works better with the light up feature. Now it does take a separate battery, and I did manage to track down, these are little watch batteries that you have to use. So you have to remove this little panel on the arm and install two watch batteries like this, the Energizer 357. They work, and you can get those pretty much anywhere that sells watch type batteries. And then once you put the batteries in, you just put the top back on and screw it on nice and tight. Now again, this takes different batteries from the light effect in the gun mode, which takes the AAA batteries. And to activate the light on the hand, you just push this button on the side here. Now the lighting effect is a pulse type effect, and it doesn't matter, the little switch that you would change to change the lighting effect on the gun mode does not affect the hand at all. So no matter what you do, you just get that pulse type light. So let me turn down some lights here so you can get a better look at it. And you can see it just kind of pulses like that. Now the lighting effect is definitely better when you're using the transparent plastic gun hand. However, the solid plastic one does have a light tube in it, so you do get some lighting effect even with this one. It just basically, you can only see the light if you're looking at it straight ahead. So just like the original G1 toy, it does have that light up feature. So they give you the translucent plastic gun hand as well as a translucent right hand. So if you want matching hands, again, more in keeping with the original toy, you can do that. And then they also give you that translucent saluting hand if you want as well. Okay, so I like the overall look of this toy in his robot mode. Again, I think it's very true to what we see in the cartoon and the original G1 toy. You've got the clear plastic here on the front of his chest, and you've got some, you can see the insides, very similar to the old toy, which I like that. I like that they've done light tubing in the head, so this little eye piece actually kind of lights up with the reflective light. You've got the clear plastic on the back of the head, so I like that effect. The only thing I don't really like is the head just has a tendency to kind of, when you start moving it around, has a tendency to kind of, if you bump it, it'll kind of push down, so I don't really like that. The ears don't move on the figure. I think the original G1 toy, you could actually move the ears, not a big deal. But again, overall, I just like the whole look of the figure, and I think very nice tribute to the original G1 toy and how he appeared in the cartoon. This figure stands roughly about 8.5 inches tall if you count to the tip of his ears. Here's a comparison with the MP Starscream, and you can see these two are about the same height if you count to the tip of their heads. If you count the little pieces on Starscream's neck, then he is a little bit taller, but for the most part, I would say these two are about the same height. And then here's a comparison with my third-party, not Megatron figure. The MP Megatron that they did is much bigger in scale than the rest of the MPs, but this one you can see is taller than Shockwave. Finally, here's a comparison of Shockwave with all my Season 1 Decepticons on the shelf. Okay, so articulation on this one's not too bad. Head is on a ball joint, so he can look left and he can look right, and he can kind of pivot his head a little bit, and he can actually look up pretty good, and he can look down pretty good as well. My only complaint again with the head is it does have a tendency to kind of sink down. Arms are attached, so you can get the arm all the way out. He can get the arm straight out, and he's got good rotation. Now you have to be a little careful if you have the wire attached, but he does have good rotation with the arms. He's got swivels at the elbow. He's basically got a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. Now when you have the hands attached, you've got swivels at the hands. The fingers are articulated, and you can kind of do it. They're on ball joints, so you can do them up and down a little bit, but they don't like have hinge joints or anything. There is no midsection joint, so there's no rotation there at the midsection. The legs, you can do the splits good. You can get the leg forward pretty good. Can't really do the legs back because of this back piece that comes down. He does also have basically a high up thigh swivel. He's got a single hinged knee, so he can bend his knee about that much. And the foot has good up and down movement, and even has a little bit of pivot back and forth. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like this Transformer. I think it's a nice nod to the original G1 toy with things like the wire and the light up effect in the hand and in gun mode. I also like the light tubing in the head. I think that's a nice added effect that they included. And I think overall it just looks very true to how it also looked in the cartoon and the comics and everything. And this is one that I wasn't really ever sure we were going to get in Masterpiece form, so I'm definitely glad we've gotten it. Now I do have a few complaints with it. I do think the purple is a little bit on the light side, and I also think this one is a little bit tad on the short side. It's not horrible, but definitely when you get him next to like Soundwave and Megatron, who I would think was about the same size if I remember correctly, he is a little bit shorter than them, and so the size is a little bit off, I would say. But otherwise, I think this is a great toy, and if you've been collecting the Masterpieces, I think this is one you'll definitely want to add to your collection. Now it is out now. You'll have to get it at some place that carries imported toys like Big Bad Toy Store. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, if you haven't, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to those pages in the video description below as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.